Okay, so the source for this video is a guy who calls himself C Buck. He has his own channel and a very unusual camera technique, which is sort of like roller coaster and a bit dizzying. Maybe it's something that his audience absolutely loves, but I must admit I did find it difficult. Um, and I limited myself in the end to just exactly half an hour on this stream because I gathered from the comments below that it ended very badly in terms of, I don't know, at least three or 400,000 up shit creek. And I'm really not surprised because the way that Cody bets is he's entirely reliant on getting a streak in his favor, not necessarily a continuous streak, but he needs to be in a situation, it seems to me, where he wins a lot more bets than he loses. And then when that happens, of course, because of the vast size of his bets, he makes money, at least on the face of it. Um, he in this the bit that I processed, that I analysed, he bet a very narrow spread from 10,000 to 20,000, and you can't buy uh, profits in that way. The only way with a spread that narrow, the only way that you're going to make any money is if you win more bets than you lose, and he didn't. How he spends his money is entirely up to him. It's none of my business. I'm not judging. I'm not mocking. I'm not criticizing, complaining, or whatever. I'm just basically not so much in awe as in befuddlement. I have no idea how this guy can possibly make a living the way that he bets. Um, I mean, sometimes he's in the hundreds of thousands with online bets, and I've always suspected that he must get his money back somehow because it's just. But anyway, it's a mystery. It's not my mystery to solve. It's entirely Cody's business. I turned off the sound on this because the background music was horrible, and there's a lot of chatter. I mean, he seems to be a guy who needs to have a kind of a little kind of gang with him, and in this particular case, they were all wearing Toronto Maple Leafs sweatshirts and t-shirts and whatever strip, and good for them. But I don't know. I was certainly outside of my comfort zone with this. I've never been a fan of any of these really dramatic, show-offy, um, expletive-laden, mouthy players who throw huge money at a problem which can only be solved with a wide spread of betting, not a sort of huge, um, uh, huge in terms of the size of the bets. I'm rambling now. I get that. So anyway, this is on silent, and it's at double speed, and hopefully that will save us all from going completely nuts.
Live in the morning.
No, you know what? I like this version.
So much for the sound. It turned itself back on. Now it's gone. There's not a lot of joy in this session, but he does smile a fair amount. Good for him. I'm sure I wouldn't in the same situation. Yeah, I think that's a sensible double down. Most people would say not, but I think that is a sensible double down because you know there isn't a 10 under. Your only worry, of course, is that your 10 might be matched with a 9 under. But I thought that was an okay bet. But I do know that most people wouldn't agree with me. One of the guys at Blackjack Apprentices. Yeah, that guy there is Dr. Chris, they introduced him as. He's sort of like a. No offense, guys, but I guess it's a generational thing, right? But all these sort of acolytes, all these people, I don't know whether he needs them or whether they need him. Hard to tell. Oh, for Christ's sake, come on, deal the cards. It's all very casual and laid back, and the vast amounts of money that are being thrown around, it's kind of weird, you know? Well, this is a double speed, remember? Interesting. I do believe he stood on a 16 there, which was weird. Two double downs there. I think the lad's markers are already over 100 grand. Yeah, maybe Cody's an eccentric millionaire or something. I don't know. He certainly doesn't have a winning strategy. Except when he wins more bets than he loses, and that's not exactly skill, is it? The trick basically is obviously is to make money when you lose more bets than you win, and there's just no way that that he's equipped for that. And I guess I could cut out a lot of this side action, but on the other hand, it at least illustrates the difference between the style of play that I recommend and what these guys go in for. It's all kind of like it's all the guys together, and performance. That's what it's about. Not about profit, it's about performance. Excuse me. All right, buddy, we can see you've got a big camera. That worked out. Oi. Yeah, I tried a fancy camera not long ago, and what irked me was that the damn thing cost over £500, which is not huge for a camera, obviously, but the picture quality and the sound quality was no better than my phone, my Samsung cheapo. So, yeah, he's catching some serious crap in this session. See, I turned down the audio on the video, but I didn't. Yeah, and so many of the products that they advertise on these YouTube things are taking the UK by storm, taking the world by storm. Of course, the other thing you get is you get ads which are same product, but sometimes it's developed by the US military and sometimes it's developed by German engineers, and it's just strange. Just got to remember to cut this off when it gets to 30 mins. Excuse me. But there's no interest. He just shows absolutely no interest whatsoever in stopping. I mean, just resuming the video somewhere else. I mean, he's not. In fact, it's not his video this time, but he could easily stop play. Because the message I'm always trying to get across is that the rhythm, the standard rhythm for these games is pretty undramatic. It's sort of like it's a couple of wins and then 3 losses and then a win and then a loss and then 4 wins and 3 losses and 2 losses and 2 wins and so on. And it doesn't go off the charts. But then you'll hit a situation where it does go off the charts. And that's a reasonable time to just step back and say, okay, all right, let's take a breath and then carry the down and the out, which is the amount you're in the hole and the amount that you're due to bet per the rules of the strategy. Just go somewhere else and resume. That's the thing. But yeah, I suppose I could cut all this stuff out, but I guess that was C Buck. Come on! Let's have some action. I mean, clearly it wasn't actually 30 minutes of play that I just stopped the damn video at 30 minutes. I thought, that's enough of that. I did obviously go to the end of the video to try and ascertain how much he'd won or lost, and I couldn't get the solution to that, but from the expression on his face it was quite obvious that it was a shitload of losses. Well, I promise you it's coincidental that towards the end of the 30 minutes towards the 30-minute mark he hits a winning streak, but it looks to me as if he didn't hit another one after that. I guess that's Shania. If that's how she pronounces it, I'm never sure. It's just getting hammered and just taking it, you know. This is the bend over thing that I'm always mystified by. There's no need for it. But you know, as I always say, his money, his choice. He can do what he wants. But as a performance artist, he must surely understand that people will watch him and think, what the... And that was a good double down, but he didn't want it. His money, his choice. That was a good one. That was a dealer 22, and that money was a lot of money out there. Well, this thing where people play games where the dealer 22 is a push, or Banco 3 card 7 at Baccarat is a push, I just... Bizarre. Well, we're nearly there. Let's see some cards. It takes forever. Yeah, maybe I should have cut this up. On the other hand, then somebody's going to say, yeah, well, you did this and you did that and you changed this and you changed that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're pretty much at the end of what I recorded. He had a blackjack. Yeah, I think we're past the point where I cut it off. So that's it. I'll try and tidy it up. Well, I have to say that watching Crazy Cody Burnett doing his extraordinary shtick, wherever he does it, whether it's in that rumpus room, that sort of disaster zone of his at home, I assume it's at home, or whether he's on display, on parade, whatever. Well, it is a parade with him because he has so many people surrounding him, all of them dressed in the same uniform. Well, no, he's the white guy with the Toronto Maple Leafs sweatshirt on, and the other guys are all in blue shirts. But none of the audience plays bets or does anything other than sort of drink enthusiastically and throw out four-letter word comments every so often. So basically, what I did this time was I turned off the audio and just restricted myself to 30 minutes, because this was apparently a 1 hour and 40 minutes streaming session, which I gather from the comments below ended up as a major loss. But I decided that 30 minutes was as much as I could manage. I do get that Cody is in the performance business. I do get that he's probably not as insane as he appears. Mercifully, in this session, he was relatively restrained. There was no sort of screaming and jumping up and down and just wrecking stuff, throwing things around or anything like that. But I guess when you're in a real casino in Las Vegas, you have to observe a little bit of etiquette at least. Story here basically is that it was a really shit session, even for the first 30 minutes. Cody came out badly, but to my annoyance, his extra bets, his multiple bets, actually made him a little bit of money, whereas the left-hand bets, the first base bets, which are the only ones that I worry about, were substantially down. Something I do want to point out here, well, there are a couple of things really. The session, the worst session where we had a turnaround, there were 17 losses and 8 wins. It's reading here as 8.5 because there was a natural in there, but it's basically 8 wins. There were for pattern betting, there were 28,000 in losses and 32,500 in wins, which meant in that particular sequence a win of 4,500 or 7.4% of total action against a house edge here of 33%. So according to the mathematicians, we should have lost 20,200 there, whereas what we did actually was win 4,500. So sorry about that, guys. The other thing to point out here is that the win-loss patterns show that it was sticky, it was nasty, but there were several occasions where if Cody had been betting progressively and sensibly and smartly, he would have made some money, keeping in mind that he bets never less than 10,000 and not more than 20,000. So what does that narrow spread, that narrow betting spread do for him? What it does is it means that he is completely at the mercy of the flat actual value. So if you look at this red line here, and you look at the light green line there, which is Cody's performance, do you see a similarity? Well, obviously you do. I mean, that was a ironic rhetorical question, because I don't think there's any doubt about it. Algae, meanwhile, managed to win an average of 2,000 and lose an average of 1,500. So that meant a win over loss percentage of 138%, which is certainly not hugely dramatic, but given a nearly 13% overall house advantage for that sample of outcomes, I don't really think that's too bad. What else up here? Didn't make very much money. I set the minimum at 25 and the max at 25,000, which means I was potentially slightly over Cody's max, but in fact my real maximum was here. Sorry, Algae's real maximum was right here, 9,600. We were playing the drop here. If I take that away, I'm not even sure what happens there. Kill the drop and we make a shitload of money. We do, however, have to have to put up with higher exposure. That's kind of funny. That doesn't usually happen that way. But anyway, I'm going to put the drop back to where I like it. Drop zone, of course, is where you suffer 3 losses in a row and then you reduce your bet. In this case, the drop is set at 0, which actually is not doable at blackjack. But there is an override in here, which says that the drop, and it comes in here. Look. Yeah, the drop has to be rounded up to be at least a fifth of the max bet, the full value bet. So we don't actually have a 0 there. What else? Absolute hell. This last bit here, which ended in a turnaround. This was at 30 minutes and 27 seconds. So I was just a tad over my half-hour limit, but fair dues. And I don't see the point of doing an analysis of the entire hour and 40 minutes, because number one, my brain would fry, and number two, it was a horrendous loss for Cody at the end, and I just obviously, I believe, and I'm sure that I could prove if I had to, that pattern betting would have come out alive. Can't be absolutely sure of that, only because Cody, like all these other professionals, walks away a loser time and time again, and I just don't do that. I play until turnaround, even if it means that I have to interrupt play by going from sort of one table where the table limit has defeated my next bet or vetoed my next bet, or just taking a break or whatever. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that it was a horror story for Cody. Let's go down and have a look at his performance here. Like I said, his bets were. I mean, he had action of just over $1 million. Algae had 76,300, which is pretty high. The total win for Algae was 5,000, which was plus 6.6%. A hold, win over action. Exposure for Algae was 27,000. So we got an ROR here of a return on risk of 19%. Bugger, this one should be in red, but that's all right. I'll fix that at some point. Really doesn't matter. Cody came out down 32,500. He was muttering at that 30 minute mark that he was even. I don't see how. I have been through his bets a couple of times, and I've got them accurately to the best of my ability. The problem is he doesn't announce his bets, and with the camera angle in his videos, it's easier to guess, but still sometimes it's somewhat iffy. I mean, I love those things where they put up the bet value and they put up the balance. Helps me a great deal. But these guys aren't doing this for me or for anybody else. They're doing it obviously for their audience, but they're certainly not in this game for my benefit, and I accept that, and that's fine. And of course, the overriding thing that I have to say here is that obviously whatever Cody wants to do with his money is entirely up to him. He seems to have a very supportive young wife wearing the same color and logo sweatshirt as him. She doesn't seem to be unhappy about the fact that he's pushing out tens of thousands and losing tens of thousands, and I guess they must have an income stream which can cope with this kind of thing. Somebody in the comments section underneath the video, which I'll give you a link to, said that he was, sort of like about 4 million down just over the last month or so. I don't know how that could be supported by his audience, which is not unhealthy, but it isn't huge. It's not, for instance, at Vegas Matt levels. So I don't get it. I just don't get it. But then, I don't have to get it. That's that's not my job. It's above my pay grade. So there you have it. Anyway, the story. I didn't mention Cody was 10,000 to 20,000. So his spread was 2-1. I spread from 25 to 9,600, which is 384 to 1. And yeah. I've got people out there that say, well, that's just not doable. That's ridiculous. You can't do that. Well, all I can say again is what I say all the time. If you can't spread like that, stay at home. Keep your money in your wallet or your pocket or whatever. Spend it on your kids. Spend it on wonderful vacations, on 5-star hotels, on fantastic, Michelin star meals or whatever. Don't give it to the casinos, because that's what's going to happen if you don't spread at this kind of level. Oh, and here is Algy's overall average win versus average loss, 152%. The reason it's different up above is, I guess, because of the count here, which is just flat. It doesn't include double downs or naturals or whatever. Because what I like to do with all of these things is I err against myself. I would rather downplay the effectiveness of the betting strategy rather than oversell it. Well, sell being the wrong word, because I'm not fucking selling anything here. I'm simply offering people the opportunity to up their game and stop losing, and I'm doing it for free, not out of altruism, but because after 30 some years in Nevada, I lived in Nevada for 27 years and I played in Nevada for damn near 40. So my mission is simply to level the playing field, to dent casino profits in any way that I can, and this is why I do my best to discourage people from taking on stupid things like commission-free baccarat and dealer 22 as a push and all that kind of nonsense. I mean, I think that the casinos are greedy beyond mere avarice. They're greedy to the point of criminality, in my opinion. They would certainly dispute that, and the people who love them and support them, like Cody Burnett and Dana White and Steve Will Do It and Vegas Matt and Mr. Handpay and all the others, would probably say, oh, no. The casinos are in the entertainment business and nobody holds a gun to the head of their customers and the usual crap, which also applies to drug dealers and other criminals. But there we are. And I always have to qualify everything by saying, I love gambling. I just don't like seeing the harm that's done when people are encouraged to spend money that they can't afford and which most of the time does not even belong to them. They're encouraged to put that money at risk in circumstances which the casino knows full well are tilted to the casino's advantage by factors far more damaging than the mere, minus 0.5%, which applies to blackjack, and 2.6%, which applies to single zero roulette, and 1.41% for craps, and 1.3% against the player for baccarat. None of that means a bloody thing, because people go in for these games without enough firepower to enable them to win. And that's why my slogan, my mantra all the time is, if you can't afford to win, don't bet, don't play, And that's, honestly, that's good advice, but it's not going to be taken by most of the people that come to this channel and then run off to Vegas Matt or Cody Burnett or any of those other Looney Tunes who throw money away like it's, well, not even as valuable as water. We need that to live. I suppose we need money to live too, really, don't we? Anyway, okay, I'm starting to ramble now, so that's it for now, and I'll catch you later.